Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Coin Drop Podcast. This is episode number 30, the big 3-0. It's hard to believe we've been doing it that long. And Tim is back from his week off. Tim, how you been, man? It's been a couple weeks.
Man, last weekend was pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah?
So I watched the episode. I listened, rather. And you guys just said, I decided to take a weekend, which I'm not saying anything bad about that, but I actually went to the Renaissance Festival. It is a family tradition that we have made. We've been doing it for 9 years now. And it was a pretty great weekend. My wife, without getting into too many details, she is now taking a medication that makes things significantly better. In any case, we actually, the highlight of the whole thing was we actually won a shield, a replica shield from the movies of Gondor, the Shield of Gondor. And this thing it's like almost 4.5 feet tall, plus the banner of Gondor, and it's fucking sweet. It's like a $450 replica, and we got it for $30 because we entered the raffle and won. The best part about that specifically is that when we went up to get the raffle, I was like, "Good luck, everybody, but you might as well give your congratulations now," and we won. So it was
fucking called it. This man just Kobe'd the shit out of that.
So it was just it was a bit of hubris / arrogance, but we totally won. It was awesome. I finally added to my uniform or my outfit, my cosplay, for the first time in almost 9 years. I was actually looking at pictures from my first year, and I'm like, damn, I've been wearing the same shit for 9 years. And I finally added a nice leather vest that was like $400. I really shouldn't have bought it, but it looks badass, so about time.
Jesus, that's an expensive ass vest.
Yeah. I've been waiting 9 years to do it. So.
Fair,
Anyways, it was a good weekend, and I'm glad to be back.
Well,
With that said, I don't want to disparage anything, but I'm just gonna say I'm sorry I wasn't here last episode to any of our listeners or our viewers. There's so much context I could have added to that conversation.
Yeah, you were way more prepared for a lot of those topics than I was, and I was like,
I really was. And I had no idea you guys were going to talk about those things either, and so I was just like, oh man, I wish I was there. Like when I started listening to it, I was like, I wish I was there in the next topic. Man, I wish I was there. And yeah.
Well, guess what? We'll at least revisit Throne and Liberty and AI art in the future, because definitely we'll be talking about Throne and Liberty again. For those of you who did listen in on the last episode, I do want to make a quick apology here. We tried something new with my audio, so it would cut out the inhales and the yaps and things like that in my chat, and it didn't work well. AI actually kind of just cut out every single pause that I made, so it made me sound like a psychotic cokehead running through a topic, and I personally hated it. It was hard for me to listen to. So on top of that, with all the other issues that the AI audio plugged into my recording, don't trust robots, I guess. Didn't like that we were bad-mouthing their art, so I guess it fucked up my audio. That's all I can assume. That said, thank you everyone for joining us as always. This is episode 30. You can find our Patreon at patreon.com/coindroppod. You get all of this content plus more. In fact, we're going to have 3, possibly 4 video uploads tonight, well, not tonight, but this week on our Patreon, exclusive for our Patreon. That's going to be gameplay for one of the topics we're going to be talking about tonight. So if you want to watch that gameplay, sign up at our Patreon. It's $3 a month. It's not a whole lot. You get an exclusive 2 sections in our Discord where you can submit topics to us that you want us to cover, as well as an exclusive Patreon discussion side where you get a special tag for your name and all this.
Talk about video games.
Yeah, it's awesome. Come over to Discord. All those links are live.
It's been in use since last week. Woo!
Yep. Yeah, we did a shout out for our first Patreon sub, and I guess we're doing another one here. So thanks to him for continuing to support the show. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into our first quick topic. And Tim, you had some thoughts on a very cool little device that just released and apparently sold out, even though everybody said it was stupid.
Yeah, so the initial fan reaction or what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say civilian.
Reception?
There you go. The initial reception of people in the community were like, that's the dumbest fucking thing ever. And I remember actually saying probably 15 episodes ago at this point where I was like, man, if it's over $150, it's DOA. Like it's too much. And I do still think that $200 is probably a little too expensive. By the way, I am talking about the PlayStation Portal, as you can see right now. I'm holding it
in a very awkward way.
Yeah,
to cover the entire screen with your hand.
Oh, shut your mouth! Here
there
you go.
There we go. Okay.
To be fair, I only have it because I'm spoiled. To just give you the teeniest little bit backstory, I was born on Christmas, and my mom, I guess, feels bad for me or something, and always buys me something relatively large for Christmas / my birthday, and she bought this for me and sent it to me straight away. So I got it early. I was not expecting it early. I knew I was going to get it because she's terrible at secrets, but she sent it to me right away. So anyways, I've been messing with it. Actually, today's the first day that I was able to actually play with it. I got it yesterday night. My wife goes, "What did you order from Amazon or from Walmart?" I'm like, I have no idea. Don't open that box just in case. I literally had no idea. But anyways, so I've had a chance to play it today. I've actually had a lot of really positive interaction with it so far. So my first hour and a half of playing with it was actually in this room. You can actually see my TV in the background. I've got the game up. That's because my portal is on, and so I can actually control what you see back there at the moment. And so obviously I'm in the same room as the TV, as the console, and as my modem. My modem is just over to my right. And so of course I'm going to have my best connection here. And so I wouldn't have expected anything negative out of it. Although, when I very first turned it on, it looked like it was running at maybe 240p. So it was super muddy and ugly. But I think that was just because that's what happens when you just connect to something that you're streaming, And so it quickly resolved itself, and it was all good. I was playing Final Fantasy 15 earlier. I turned it off and tried some, as you can see back in the background right now, Sea of Stars. And then I just kind of played a few other games and gave it a shot. So my initial reactions of the device is as you can see, this thing's it's a good size. It is legitimately a DualSense controller with an 8-inch screen in between. And the screen, while it is an LCD, and that's technically unfortunate, I say it that way because as an 8-inch screen, you can barely tell. It looks really pretty. It's got lots of good pictures. I actually don't know if it's HDR. Now I'm curious.
Is it bigger than the Steam Deck? It looks bigger than the Steam Deck. I believe. Yeah. Okay.
As far as its width, yes.
Right.
Because because of the controller built into it. And the screen, I think it's just a tiny little bit bigger. I'm not sure. My Steam Deck's back there. I should compare the two. The sound quality, I'm not an audiophile, and therefore I'm like, sounds good to me, But I'd be willing to bet that anyone that really cares about their audio quality is probably not going to be super happy with the speakers built into it. But I mean, it gets loud enough for me. I have a good time with it. It also has a 3.5 jack, which is technically ancient by these standards, but I'm glad they went with that because when cell phones got rid of that a few years ago, I was pissed.
Still mad about it.
The stupidest decision ever. Yes, it's stupid.
That's why I have the Asus ROG, buddy, right there, 3.5 jack.
Right. This is my only major criticism with the device is that basic Bluetooth isn't in the device, so I can't use whatever Bluetooth headset I want. That's straight retarded. Sony, you're fucking retarded. Stupid. I don't know how else to say it. Dumbest decision you've ever made. I can only imagine that would have cost you pennies on the dollar, and therefore it would have been the easiest integration ever. Why not? I don't know. Other than the fact that you've got your business strategy of, buy our PlayStation headsets.
Yeah.
The new earbuds, the Pulse headsets, you can connect those to this by default. And so they're obviously trying to sell their other devices. So I get that.
Sounds like they're trying to take a page out of Apple's book. Trying to sell you on their trying to sell you on their ecosystem.
Exactly. So I get the business side of it, and it is smart in that regard. But I still don't like it, even though I had Pulse headsets, so I'm going to connect it to this thing, So I'm one of those people that ultimately I'm fine, but I still think it's dumb because this thing itself is $200. The PlayStation itself is $500, and you need the console in order to play this portable. And then if you want to be able to have a nice headset, you got to spend at least $100 more on top of that. So we're literally talking about $800 minimum to have a really good audio sound, So it's a bit much, but I mean, I'm also the retard that spent that $800 technically. So,
Well, when you put it all together up front, it sounds gross, right? Like that's like saying, a $1,700 gaming computer is disgusting. Well, in reality, you break that down to its components, right? Your motherboard's a couple hundred, processors. You break it over a couple of months, over a year, just whatever, and it's a lot easier to swallow. But yeah, for anybody like myself, if I was to get one of those, I'm looking at $800 up front because I got to get the system, I got to get the PSP, and then I've got to get the headphones, and that's not something I'm willing to do.
Yeah, well, so you can't see it because my chair's in the way, but I also have a DualSense Edge, so that's another $200 device.
That fucking thing is too expensive. Jesus.
Yeah, so I've pretty much bought into the whole thing. I will not buy the earbuds though because I just hate the idea of wireless headphones. Not headphones, but wireless earbuds.
Yeah.
I hate the idea. I'll never buy into it until it becomes an industry standard and it's the only option.
So I will say,
until then,
a little off topic from the gaming stuff, I will say this. I used to have the same opinion as you, but battery tech has gotten better in a sense that quicker charging and the case coming with them is really great because I used to think I'd lose them. Like I knew for a fact I would one would fall out, I'd lose it, whatever. I got a pair of Bose that I got on sale. They're like $200 headphones. I got them for like $100 last year, and they are the single best headphones I've ever had. Above any wired headphone I've ever had in terms of
ever.
For what I use them for. So for working out, for being around town, for being able to just throw one in. It has built-in noise canceling, so I have an active aware mode. I have a noise canceling mode. I only have to have one in. I can pick which one in. They both have microphones, so I don't got to make sure I have the right one in to take a call. They have gotten to a point where I'm like, these are actually really good. And yes, the Bose ones I've had, dude, I've gone on runs with them. I've run on treadmills. I've lifted with them. They're fantastic headphones for just holding it in the ear. I've actually pulled them out of my ear, and the I guess the gel that you would call it that holds in your ear, I've accidentally pulled my headphone out with that still in my ear. It just held too tightly into my ear and had to pull that out of my ear. So I will say that they are actually, they're getting to a point where they're pretty decent. But yeah, I also wouldn't go out of my way to buy a pair specifically for Sony because they're branded or that's what's that's definitely not.
Unless the PlayStation ones can also be used with say your cell phone and stuff, then sure, maybe if you need a set, then go buy that one. But if it's PlayStation exclusive, then that's pretty dumb. If you ask me.
Agreed.
So getting back to the Portal, I have had a few issues with it. Like I said, when I started, it was a really muddy image, and it was pretty ugly, but it quickly resolved itself. I played it for probably about 2 hours at that point, just giving it a try, trying some of my PlayStation 4 games, trying some of the digital downloads, swapping discs to see how that worked, just testing the system out. For those that don't know, I'm going to add this in there. It doesn't allow you to play your streaming titles if you have that level of PlayStation Plus, so that's kind of a bummer. But also to give you a little bit of a potential hope, I don't remember who it was. It was like the CFO or something like that from Sony, more or less recently kind of hinted that the device might become kind of standalone in the sense that if you bought PlayStation Plus, you don't need a console and you can just stream via PlayStation Plus, Premium, and what's the other one? Whatever, the two higher models.
Gotcha.
But it was a slight hint. It was in no way a confirmation, but it kind of sounded like they're going to work towards that, which would make sense because then people can buy just this and then they can play their consoles. And Microsoft's doing that already with their Game Pass being playable on Samsung TVs and all that other stuff.
Right.
Anyways, back to the Portal. I had a really good first impression with it. Fast forward a few hours, I was working today and just doing a whole bunch of stuff. I actually turned it back on again later and ended up turning it on and connecting from my room. And I actually, because I was, the second TV you see up there that's not on, I was actually hanging that today. And so I was playing with my cords and making sure they were out of the way, blah, blah, blah. So I actually disconnected my PS5 and it turned off. And so I tried to connect them from all the way across the house. And I was like, oh, shit, I got to get up. So I got up, turned on the PlayStation, made sure it was all good, tried to connect. And when I was walking back across the room or across the house, it was like the worst choppy thing I've ever seen, and it basically would constantly disconnect. it would connect and reconnect, and then connect and reconnect, and then connect and reconnect. I might be able to move around a little bit, but it was almost like I was playing on regular Nintendo as far as graphical fidelity is concerned, and it was just choppy. The sound was awful, and it was bad. And so I was like, well, this is stupid. So I walked back across the room, across the house, sat down in my room, got a nice good connection going, and I'm like, okay, I'm good, I'm solid. And then walked back across the house again, and at that point, 0 issues. So I honestly don't know what to like. I don't have no idea why the issue existed. I thought maybe it was because I was across the house. I'm on 5 gigahertz, a 5 gigahertz band, and I know that tends to work less effectively if there's a lot of walls in the way.
Yeah.
And across my house, there's a lot of walls and shit in the way. So I thought maybe that was the issue at first, but apparently it wasn't. So I really don't know. Maybe it was just some hiccups in the internet, local internet, or something. But after that, no issues. I was playing Sea of Stars at that time, and then turned that off and swapped over to Final Fantasy 16, and no issues. So I think the only thing I can think of is maybe growing pains. But at the same time, this is just a streaming device, so it's literally no different from your tablet or your phone or whatever it may be. So it's not new technology. It's just in a new format, really.
So it might be your actual internet, 'cause you are a little choppy right now. So I'm wondering if you're having some latency connections. Also check, I've been waiting to try and like not cut you off to tell you, check your wire a little bit, make sure your USBs are seated into the mic really good and into your laptop really good, or into your dock or whatever you got. Because you are a little choppy. So it's entirely possible it's just latency on your end. But it very well could be, something that's patched from firmware. Because I did look at just a quick review on it, and the guy said he kind of had the same experience when he first booted it up, which as somebody who streams from my PC to my TV using Steam a lot, that's pretty common. The first 15 minutes you get a lot of heavy package loss, your quality isn't there, and then it kind of picks up and gets going. So that's not an uncommon thing. That's just kind of the nature of streaming when getting started. But it could be, a couple of different things. But ultimately, it sounds like you're enjoying the machine, right? All right, now I can't hear you at all. You are full on deaf. Full on muted. I've got no audio from you now. Mike, make sure you add technical difficulties at this point in the recording. I had him fuck with his wires. That one's on me. Try turning off your NVIDIA broadcast. See if that helps, maybe. Because, I don't know. When I used the AI thing last episode, it really fucked shit up. We might have to pause this for a second. And I'm going to message Mike. Oh, there he is.
Okay. Well, how far are we into the video or the stream?
I think we lost you at around 18-ish minutes, and it sounds like you're on. Well, okay, now you're back on your mic. Okay, my potential issue is the Audacity. I'm hoping it cut out when I pulled the device out. So we'll see. I hope it doesn't totally fuck us on that regard. Are you
anyways
still recording on Audacity?
When I went back to it, I wasn't. That's why I'm worried. It was at 17 and a half ish.
Okay.
Well, when I started recording again. So.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We might have to do a quick live sync real quick.
Let's
I'll have Mike cut this out. So 3, 2, 1, sync.
Sync.
All right. So. Okay. Any rate.
What was I? So I actually don't know if it was my, just for everyone that might be listening. It was. I don't think it was my NVIDIA broadcast. I think it might be my computer. Honestly, I think something's fucked up with my computer, and that sucks because I don't have the money to replace it.
Yeah, it could be that, or it could be the microphone itself. I have gone through 2 of these. So because you have the same one I have, right? The newer. Yeah, so it could be the mic itself. It might need a firmware update. It could just be the mic is bad. They're cheap mics, so it's entirely possible it is the microphone's fault. I would be more confident that it's your microphone than it is the laptop.
My computer.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So with that said, that is actually something I'm looking into to get it better, Mike. So
Yeah.
maybe in the next couple of episodes, I'll have a better one. So
Hopefully. Put that
Hope and
Patreon. And here we go, patrons. If this is what you pay for, your money helps us get better equipment. So the more of you that contribute, the better we can make this podcast. That's not a plug.
So where did I cut off at that was a problem? So
I just kind of went over the latency thing and kind of filled in the air there with like, you know, this and that, and then asked you kind of overall, you're enjoying the PSP though, right? Because I refuse to call it the Portal. It's abbreviated as the PSP. I'm going to call it the PSP.
I mean, it is a PSP. I think that's a phenomenal idea on Sony's part.
Yeah,
I feel like
that was clever.
That shit on purpose.
That was definitely
so,
100%.
It's actually pretty cool too, since it's a portal, right?
Mm-hmm.
They actually the graphic they have on the system before you connect to it is a circle, and it's pulsing when it's trying to connect to the PlayStation. And then when you connect, it actually kind of it doesn't look like the portal from Diablo, but it kind of feels like one.
Nice.
And so you it spins, and there's a whole bunch of particles that go up to the place, and then the screen takes over, and you've got the PlayStation, the PS5 in the background.
Nice.
And so it's a pretty sweet interaction or interchange into the PlayStation. Anyways. So yeah, ultimately, I'm really happy with the device. I have yet to test it outside of the house. I really want to take it somewhere and try it on not just somebody else's strong and decent Wi-Fi, but also my phone's Wi-Fi. I have seen videos on X. There's multiple people, influencers that I follow, that I interact with, that have also played theirs on their phone internet in the car. You know, just their kids playing it or whatever it is, and so when I play it here in the house, you can see the teeny tiniest little bit of latency. And when I say, you know, your typical latency is about 25-ish milliseconds. What's the MS? It's just escaping me at the moment. But the teeny tiniest little bit of latency. So you can see just a little bit more if when you're in the same room. So I'd really like to see what the difference might be. You know, away from.
Oh
yeah. Sorry, it's a nice device right now. Honestly, I'm really enjoying it. I've only had it for a day. I haven't played it a whole lot. I have yet to test it outside of the home, but I think ultimately it's going to give me more game time given my busy life. So
sure, yeah, and I think it kind of solves the gap and the issue I have the most with the Steam Deck, which is like, well, when it dies, you have to plug it in. And, you know, that's the end of it. With this, like, when it dies, you can either grab your controller and play your PS5, or you're done. Like, you have a second option there.
And that is something that I can say is the battery life, since it's a streaming device. You're not actually running the console or the game on the device, and therefore it's really not using a lot of power at one time. So there's that, too.
Nice. Well, speaking of not using a lot of power, I'm going to talk about something that made me feel pretty fucking powerful. That's a shit segue, but that's what we're doing. Assassin's Creed Nexus. So I've got on our Twitch right now, and up on our YouTube once this goes live, you'll all be able to see some footage. Yeah, you'll all be able to see some footage of my gameplay. I recorded it. Not sure why it recorded in 4:3 or 1:1 or whatever this ratio was. Didn't realize that until after I ripped these videos, threw them on my computer to edit it. And that was this morning. Well, this afternoon. So you got 4:3, but I put a little blockage around it so it looks okay. Whatever. Anyways, I'm just going to out the gate right now. This game, I haven't played Half-Life Alyx, so let me just preface that. I just bought it. For all you people just raging right out the gate when I said that. I just bought it. Calm down.
How dare you?
Just calm down. I just bought it. This is the single best.
Before you continue, Half-Life Alyx is on sale for $20. So if you have a headset and have yet to buy it, $20 is a ridiculous steal. Go buy it.
Yeah, that's why I just bought it. Anyways, this is hands down the single best VR game I have played since the invention and mainstreaming of VR. Yeah, I did. Yeah, 100% missed. But that's okay. It's whatever. This game is, dude, I don't know if I can go back to Assassin's Creed after this. Playing this game in first person in VR was such an amazing experience. And I'm not even like halfway through the game, to be clear. I'm on like sequence 4. I just started playing as Cassandra. So like, the parkour system, the fighting system's a little jank, but like, fine, whatever. Like, it's not. I don't care about that. The parkour system was like my main thing, right? So like the parkour is great, the stealth assassination is great, the visuals are great, just everything, like all the issues I had playing Vampire the Masquerade Justice for like VR sickness, like nausea, stuff like that, doesn't exist in this game. And I'm talking even doing like leaps of faith. I'm talking running from rooftop to rooftop, jumping beam to beam, climbing. I don't know why, but this game doesn't give me that at all. And I don't have any of like the comfort modes turned on or anything like that. You'll see it later on in the footage, but it doesn't give me any of that at all. I can't believe.
Yeah. So for me,
go ahead.
For me personally, it's really, really disappointing that they have yet to bring this to PSVR 2, because I would straight buy. I've already got $1,000 into my PlayStation 5. I might as well throw another $550 at it. So I would straight buy a PSVR 2 for this game, dude, on the spot.
I am blown away that this is running on the hardware in the Quest 3. Just 100%. Yeah. This looks like a title that should be on the PC or on the PSVR, and I have faith that it will eventually come. I do. If it sells well enough on the Quest, I'm sure it'll see a port. But it might not, because like Quest doesn't have its killer app, and this is kind of a killer fucking app, dude. Like, this is
actually sort of. I honestly, like, even if it sells like shit and sells 10 copies, I still feel like it's going to come to PlayStation, for the simple fact that the PlayStation's a big force, and this would be a way for PlayStation to sell more VR units, and then Ubisoft to sell more units.
It's going to be up to whatever the deal was that Ubisoft signed with Meta. And Meta can be pretty harsh on certain things.
6 months to a year.
If they didn't sign permanent exclusivity, right? So that's fingers crossed that's not the case, because I want more of this. I do, dude. This game, the only complaint I have, literally, this is the only complaint I can have about the game, because everything else was either my fault or like, yeah, the combat's not great. That's really the only main complaint, and then the only sub complaint to that is the timeline for Ezio feels weird, because you're wearing the outfit from Assassin's Creed 2, but he talks like this is like in between Brotherhood and Revelations. Like, there's a line of dialogue shortly after this scene on screen where you walk up to the statue of Altair there, and he says, maybe we'll meet in another life. But like, if you played Revelations, you know there was some weird wacky CD shit where they met. So yeah, but you're wearing the outfit from 2, and this is also after, like, guaranteed to be after Brotherhood, because he mentions a line earlier where he says, in memory of my uncle Mario, who died in Brotherhood. So like, they have him in the wrong attire, and I get that's like the iconic Ezio suit, but they have him in the wrong attire for where this seems like it fits. I don't know, it's very strange. But
they almost assuredly went with the attire, because that's what people associate Ezio with.
Yeah.
But yeah, the timeline difference is, to be fair, really the only people who are going to care are people like you.
Yeah, and that's why I said it's a little complaint. Yeah, it's just a little complaint. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It's just one of those things. It's like, I'm sitting here trying to figure out where this fits in with Ezio's life, because it doesn't do the whole thing where it tells you the exact time and all this and that. But I was just blown away by how lifelike everything was in this game, dude. Just all the content was so good. Graphically, it was. It's the best I've played on a standalone headset. I've played a little bit of games on standalone. Most of what I do is AirLink to my PC and play PC VR games over AirLink. But if you have a Quest 2 or a Quest 3, this is an absolute do not sleep on this game. It is so goddamn good and so much fun. Dude, the first time I land the air assassination is so just invigorating. Like, it feels so good to just sink that blade in there and just take the guy to the floor. It just makes you feel like an absolute god. I don't know what they did to make the parkour system work as well as it did, but like, it's fluid, everything runs flawlessly in the parkour, and that's coming up here shortly in the video as well. From what I can tell, I've looked up like time to beats to kind of get an idea, because most VR games are usually relatively short, right? Like, a lot of them are short. This one, apparently, you can get about 15 hours out of it on a single playthrough. And then to be a completionist, you're looking at 20 to 25, depending on how much you missed along the way. But that's pretty solid for a VR game. Like, I'm not upset with that at all. Like, and you can see here, this is the first like jump up the wall kind of thing that I do. But I did some free climbing before this earlier in the game, but I didn't record that. So there's a chase scene in here that it really broke me, dude. It made me go, I need every Assassin's Creed to get a VR mod fucking now.
Right.
Because it felt so good to be chasing after your target, jumping from beam to beam, swinging across ledges, climbing up walls. Dude, it was the most immersion ever. Like,
the real thing about this is, so, you know, games in third person, they make you feel like a badass, but they also make you feel like you're not that person. You're controlling that person.
Right.
That's why a lot of games opt for first person, so at the very least you can tell yourself you're that person, right? And so VR is really the ultimate culmination of actually being that person. And so, like, that's the reason why I bought the PSVR 1 was Resident Evil 7. Not, was it 7? Yeah, 7.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 7. Yeah.
Yeah. Biohazard. Yeah. 7.
Whatever.
Yep. 7.
It's Village is throwing me off.
Yep.
Anyways, I bought it because Resident Evil 7 was a launch title on the PSVR, and it was exclusive to that. And I was like, okay, I got to play this console or this game with that headset. And there's something totally different about VR when it works. When it's implemented and works well. And Assassin's Creed is one of those titles where it doesn't matter which Assassins you're playing. Being able to actually be that person, there's something special about that, and that's why I'm really disappointed it's not on PlayStation. I had to buy this right away,
dude. I got my fingers crossed it comes eventually, because like I haven't gotten to Connor yet. I only just started playing as Cassandra because apparently she's the canon protagonist, which actually makes a lot of sense for the DLC. But like, it makes me kind of mad to play as her because it really is like Assassin's Creed. So here it is. This is it. Oh, right in the head. Fucking love it, dude. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it felt so good to land that. And then just to steal the man's bread and eat it was just insult to injury.
Thank you for this.
Let me get that snack. But yeah, like it made me kind of mad because like she plays like a real assassin in this. So you don't have the like, oh, you did a sneak attack, but you only did like 80% of the guy's health or whatever. So it makes me realize
it took away the RPG aspect.
Yeah, and it made it better because it made her a fucking assassin, and it was so much better playing as her doing that. But I'm stoked to finish this game. Ubisoft really knocked it out of the park with this. I hope it comes to every other platform. At the same time, I don't, because this is like what Quest can hang its hat on right now. Like, this is Quest's big fucking killer. Just like on the PC, Alex is their big fucking killer. And I guess technically PSVR, you have the Horizon VR game, and you have Resident Evil 4, right? The 4 remake has VR, which are exclusive to you. So you've got killer apps on all these. And
plus Resident Evil 8.
Yeah. Plus Resident Evil 8 and 7 have VR modes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I want an actual full, like, Assassin's Creed mainline tile made for VR. I think that would be so fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, to your point about it being exclusive, or you know, that way Meta can have something they can hang their head on, is I've always been that person that when everyone's like, exclusives are stupid, like I think you're retarded if you think that. Like, there's a reason why consoles, or even outside of the realm of consoles, there's a reason why things sell, is because they're exclusive to that company. Anyways, they're good for the industry. However, VR is probably the only area that I'm like, every game should release on all the platforms, simply for the fact that it's such a niche field or industry that if you limit yourself to a single headset, unless that headset is like breakout ridiculously popular, you're limiting yourself. But also the fact that if you what's that, the VR break room?
Yeah.
Being able to have it multi-platform and play with anyone regardless of where they're at, it enhances the experience so much better. And I understand you could apply that exact same logic to outside VR.
Yeah.
But simply for the fact that the VR is niche, that it makes sense to make something available everywhere, at least if you have the ability to do so, like Ubisoft does. Yeah, so I'm really hopeful that this can come out, because I'll buy a PSVR 2 on the spot when it becomes available for sure.
I do kind of agree with you because PSVR and PC VR, like, it is still a very niche market. So all you're doing is dividing your potential revenue there, your room for growth. Like, I do agree with that, but like you said, exclusives are important too, and we're getting to a point where VR is becoming more acceptable, more common, more popular. This is that chase scene I was talking about, by the way, where I was doing this and I was just like, oh yes, I am Ezio, I'm gonna fucking cut you. Like, it felt so fucking good to do this chase scene.
Take my hand blade.
It just felt, dude, it was so fluid. And I don't know. I generally have really bad VR sickness in VR games, and this game just, it had everything perfect, is really all I can say. So if you do experience VR sickness, I can say you're highly likely not to experience it in this. I don't know why, but that's been my experience. I can't sing this game's praises enough. I want more of this. There's another VR game that just came out to Quest called, I think it's like Freestyle Strides or something like that, which is like a Mirror's Edge type VR game, which I'm stoked to check that out after this one. But I just bought Alex, so I'm going to play this, then I'm going to play Alex. I got a lot of VR to play, and I'm very excited to play it all. And if you are even remotely interested in Assassin's Creed Nexus, I cannot encourage you enough. It is absolutely worth the price tag. You will not regret the purchase. And that's really all I have to say on Assassin's Creed, man. It's be the assassin you always wanted to be, is really all I can say.
I look forward to it coming to PlayStation so I can play it myself.
I hope it does. At the very least, maybe you can fly out here and play it on my Quest if it doesn't.
We'll see about that.
Maybe someday. All right, well, let's move on to kind of a surprise announcement. I don't know that anybody knew it was coming so much as we knew it was eventually going to come. We got a Last of Us Part 2 remastered announcement that just kind of came out of the blue. Yes. Sony just dropped this bomb on us, like, hold the mic.
And now you know why I had The Last of Us 2 running on the Mac.
Yep.
While I was talking about the Portal.
Yep.
It really isn't a surprise, given the fact they've already remade number 1 for PS5.
Right.
This one is to me, it's less of a remake, hence it's called remastered rather than remake. Because there's really not a massive amount of upgrading they can do on graphics. The game was already so stupid ass gorgeous on the PlayStation 4 that really the only thing they can do is like resolution for the most part.
Yeah.
The game still stands up to the vast majority of games that release on a daily basis. It's so gorgeous. It's insane. Anyways, being announced for it is unfortunately for you PC guys. It is a PlayStation exclusive for the time being. No doubts it's going to come to PC probably within. I would honestly imagine between 4 and 6 months. I can see it coming out sooner rather than later. But it actually so first off, if you already own the game, it's only going to be a $10 upgrade, regardless if you have a physical or digital version of the game. So a $10 upgrade is a pretty sweet sale. But it also comes with several other enhancements anyways. Obviously there's going to be graphical enhancements, there's going to be your resolution bump, there's going to be a frame rate bump, there's going to be a fidelity mode, blah blah blah, all that typical stuff. But if you haven't noticed in the gameplay that they've shown so far, is there's new costumes that they're going to add to it. Cool stuff. But the main thing that's the big deal, at least in my opinion, is that the game's actually going to come with three new levels, which are, what do they call them? They call them the lost levels.
Yeah.
They are essentially like developer levels that never made it into the final game. So they haven't really given us a lot of detail on that. But as me and Russ were talking about before the podcast started, is they more than likely totally fleshed them out, built them completely, and then they are launching them with this remastered version. And then the probably the biggest reason to consider this, if you haven't, or if you've already played the game, is that they're bringing a new, it's called No Return. It's a roguelike survival mode, which allows you to play different characters that you've never been able to play in the games in the past, such as, man, her name escapes me at the moment, but Ellie's lover chick starts with the D.
Oh, is that who plays in that? I didn't know that.
Well, I don't think it's just her. I think it's kind of really your option.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It seems like to me you can choose who you play. So you can choose to play as Ellie or Joel or whoever in this rogue mode. That's my impression, anyways. I don't know if that's the case. They haven't specified, but it feels like to me based on what I've read. And again, as a $10 upgrade, like, hell yeah, why not play the game in its best mode with additional content that's not just, you know, your typical resolution of frame rate bumps. They also have there's the guitar. There's a couple of guitar segments in the game because if you remember from the very first game, if you played it, Ellie actually asks Joel to teach her how to play the guitar.
Right.
And so that's part of the story of number 2 is that he actually did show her. And so as you're, you know, running through the destroyed world, she runs across the guitar. And so she's like, oh, sweet, and starts playing it. And they kind of give you a little bit of free play there, but it's not very long. So that's one of the other new additions to the game is you have complete free play mode of the guitar. So
nice.
You just have fun with it.
Nice.
So it's like almost like a little mini game.
Play some Enter the Sandman.
Right. So they add the cool thing about it too is I don't actually remember if when he teaches her to play it in The Last of Us 2, I don't remember if you play as him, but in the trailer, if you're paying attention, it actually does show him playing it, but it shows that little mini game of essentially playing the guitar.
Gotcha.
So either way, I know there's a ton of controversy around this game. When it leaked before it launched, there was so much complete and utter horseshit where people took a lot of things out of context.
What? Leaks made people mad when they didn't know the full story? Oh no!
Right?
I can't believe
there
it.
There was a lot of bullshit. They were like, "Oh my god, it's gone woke," and like, don't get me wrong, if it would gone super woke, I probably wouldn't have been super happy about it either. But it actually when all that leaks came out, I was like, "Fuck," I'm kind of worried. To be fair, and so my wife actually read up on all this stuff, and she goes, "I don't know if you want to play this," and I'm like, "You know what? Fuck all that bullshit. I'm gonna buy it and play it anyway because I know I can trust Naughty Dog," and I'm glad I did because there was a little bit of woke stuff in there in the sense that there was a trans character, but it was like, hey, this character wants to be the gender, and that was about it.
Fair enough. I mean, that's
Ellie
stuff we don't see in any other form of media this day and age.
Yeah, that was straight it. That particular character was basically kicked out of their society because they wanted to be a boy, and that was it. Nothing else.
Got it.
End of story.
Got it.
And then the other character, her name escapes me. Not Ellie, but the other one.
Abby.
She's Abby. There you go.
Yeah.
She's super ass butch. But the thing is that's thoroughly explained through the storyline. And like, she's not trans or any of that stuff. She's just butch, and they explain it 100%.
Nice.
That's like the extent of it. And then honestly, for me, the only thing that really was like, that's kind of dumb, but at the same time I can see it happening, is the way they kill Joel.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like, shitty. They could have done it better, in my opinion, but it's also not my story to tell.
Yeah.
You know? So that's the way that Neil Druckmann and his team decided to tell the story. It does make you kind of hate Abby for good reason, but Abby also kind of had a good reason to kill him. If you consider all things considered. But then that's another problem I have that basically says that there's no good guys, there's no bad guys.
Yeah, it's just people.
Yeah, I sort of feel like that's kind of stupid, but it also does lay or shine the limelight on the fact that there is nuance to all the stories, every single one of them. So ultimately, the game was totally fucking worth it. It was an extremely good advancement on the first game. Awesome, wonderful addition, and $10 for an improvement for a PS5 version with new modes. Hell yeah, absolutely, I'm down for it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to say 3 things Naughty Dog did right here, and 1 thing they did wrong. 1, they made it a relatively cheap upgrade. Granted, you can't make it free. I got that. 1. They made it a relatively cheap upgrade, which is, There it is. 2, they gave you a survival mode, which is a big advantage, right? So that's cool.
Yep. Gives you replayability.
Yep. 3, they just dropped it, and it's coming out in 2 months.
January.
Yeah, 2 months, right? There's your 3 they did right. Here's the 1 thing they did wrong. Why the fuck isn't the survival mode co-op? That one thing, man, and I get it. Like they're working on factions, they got all that, but like, dude, how much more fun would that be playing as like with your buddy, playing Joel and Ellie, or Ellie and Abby, or Ellie and Zoe, or whatever his or her girlfriend's name is. Like, dude, how much better would that be in a co-op experience? Just my thoughts. Like, absolutely missed opportunity there, but that's just my thoughts.
The game has segments where you're with someone else. Not the whole section, or not the whole game, but there's large enough sections where there's somebody else there where they could have easily implemented a multiplayer mode. And now that they're bringing it to PS5 with this new no return, or whatever the hell they're calling it, mode, they could have easily done so. Yeah. And I agree with you fully. And, I mean, we could easily go on a tangent on the new Factions 2, which is, like, disappeared. They've given us extremely small updates over the course of the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be essentially factions from the initial Last of Us, but with enhancements. But then apparently it ballooned into a massive new project that they basically decided to make it a new game. And there's been all sorts of reports that it's in development hell. And Bungie, so when Sony bought Bungie, they basically decided to not take over, but consult as the like head consultant on all of the multiplayer games that PlayStation makes. And apparently Bungie was unhappy with it, and so the Factions is like in some sort of development hell. I don't know, the reports are all the fuck over the place, but the one constant is it's been 3 years since The Last of Us 2 remastered, and we still haven't seen any gameplay. So they're probably accurate. I would love to see what it's becoming of it, because the first Faction was pretty fucking fun.
How fucking funny would it be to see them like just reverse and be like, oh, Faction spun into a new Jak and Daxter game.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Because the next Jak and Daxter spun into The Last of Us. So how fucking funny would it be for Last of Us to spin back into Jak and Daxter? It'd be way too...
That'd be too convenient, only because the Factions 2 is intended to be a multiplayer game. So how would you turn a multiplayer game into a single-player game?
Maybe you play as Jak and Daxter, so it's a multiplayer. I don't know.
There you go, co-op multiplayer.
I don't know. I thought it was funny. I was like, that would be really funny.
We can dream, right?
Yeah. So that's about it for The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Cool. I'm excited that hopefully that means we're one step closer to seeing an actual like release for PC sometime next year, now that we've got the definitive version of the game. So maybe we'll see some announcement.
I would honestly expect it by June of next year.
Yeah.
For PC.
Yeah, that would be great. And hopefully it launches in a much better state than the first remaster. But we're going to move on to our final topic for tonight, and we don't have as much time to talk about it as I had hoped. We kind of hit these topics a little bit harder than I thought we were going to, but that's the way these go sometimes. The VGAs are coming up. Well, I guess the GAs, as they call them now, which I swear to God, they used to be called the VGAs, weren't they?
VGAs. Weren't they? The Video Game Awards.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I apparently have had too much to drink. You're blowing my mind right now. What? They're not VGA Awards? They're the GAs?
Yes, the Game Awards. No. They've been that for like 2 or 3 years now. It's not the VGS. That's my thought. I don't have a whole lot to say on this. I haven't really played a lot of the games in contention, but Alan Wake 2 I've heard nothing but great things about. Spider-Man 2 I've heard nothing but great things about.
Resident Evil 4.
Nothing but
great things about.
I don't think it's fair that Resident Evil 4 is there just because like it's a new game, sure. I don't know how much content they added, change from the original release, but that doesn't seem like it's worthy of like the game of the year, because it's a remake. It's not an original. You know what I mean? Like it's
but you have to be a little bit fair. A remake is different from a remaster. Look at Final Fantasy VII. It's an extremely different product.
Fair.
It is still the same product.
Fair.
So fair. Resident Evil 4, to my understanding, is just like 7, faithful beyond belief to the initial product, but also new enough to where some people have actually said it feels like a new game.
That's cool.
And so
I'm okay with that then.
I also have not played it yet, but I've heard nothing but great things about it. So I will get to it eventually.
So of this list, I've only played 2 on the list. I've played Baldur's Gate 3, still playing Baldur's Gate 3. Stupidly good game, and in my opinion, hands down, that game's sweeping everybody. In my opinion, I don't from music to script to gameplay to just everything. That game is fucking top tier,
bro. The game itself forced Microsoft to reverse its strategy, forcing parity between the S and the X. That's how good it is. That Xbox is like, fuck, who cares about that policy? Bring the game to us now.
Yeah. If that doesn't scream Game of the Year, I don't know what does. But it's so stupidly good. That Super Mario Wonder being on it really makes me sad, because that is hands down the single best Mario game I have played since Super Mario World. Like, it's so damn good, and I think any other year it had a really good shot at getting Game of the Year, because it takes all the little things, all the little tiny stuff that like hasn't changed in Mario, and changes it, and it's beautiful. It's so fantastic. The colors pop. The gameplay is fun. I play it with my wife and daughter, dude. We have a fucking blast laughing. Like, it's such a good game.
It's the wonderful joy of Little Big Planet with what new Super Mario Bros. Brought back to what Mario used to be.
Yeah.
And it's just, if you play the game and you don't smile, you're not fucking human.
Yeah, I agree. You're soulless. You must have red hair because you're soulless. Couldn't help it. And then honestly, like, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom being on here is that's just not even, if that wins any awards, I'm going to be seriously disappointed, because if I wanted to play fucking Roblox, I'd go play Roblox. Like,
the only thing, maybe I'm jaded, I don't know. I've mentioned it enough times. My fucking daughter is named Zelda. I love the fucking Zelda franchise, but Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they don't deserve it. Like, I'm glad that the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley and his whoever decides what choices there are there that the fans can vote on. I'm glad they were smart enough not to include Starfield, because the game was so massively overhyped and overtalked up by the community. It's absolutely insane. So much so that even Microsoft curated who was able to review the game before the masses got to it. Like, legitimately. Anyways. I almost wish that game was on this list more than Zelda.
Yeah.
And like I said, maybe I'm jaded. I don't know. I had yet to play Tears of the Kingdom because I struggled so hard to play Breath of the Wild that I actually stopped playing it. And then when I was like, okay, I've got to play it, I've played and beat every single other one.
Yep.
I had to force myself to finish the game.
Same.
You know? And I know Breath of the Wild does some new things Tears of the Kingdom does some new things that Breath of the Wild didn't. So maybe it's a better product. But against the likes of Marvel Spider-Man 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Alan Wake 2, like Super Mario Wonder, I don't think it has a chance in hell. Like,
no.
It's Zelda. The fact that it has the Zelda title in is the only reason it's considered, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll be honest, I really hope sometime very soon Zelda will go through the same arc that Assassin's Creed has finally done, and we will see a true return to form in the future with Zelda, like we have with Assassin's Creed Mirage. That's the only hope I have for the franchise at this point, because as I said when Breath of the Wild came out and I got hate mail for it, it's not a good Zelda game. Sorry, it's just not.
I'm gonna quote Lord of the Rings because I'm a fucking nerd. Never trust a hope.
Never trust hope. Yeah, fair enough. But I don't know, man. It's going to be a wild awards. There's been some rumors that we might see some announcements for Dragon Age 4: The Dread Wolf, which I called that fucking title years ago, guys. Years ago.
Next year release, not just a gameplay trailer.
Yeah, we'll see.
But a release next year. That's a rich rumor, of course.
We'll see. I'll be watching the VGAs for it for sure.
Man, for the first 4 years, Jeff Keighley's shit was laughably terrible. The Game Awards, his summer stuff, it was just like, this is awful. Why am I wasting my time watching this shit? But the past, I would say 2 years, he's actually done a really damn good job. And he's basically the E3 of the industry now.
Yep.
I almost hate to say that, but at the same time, at least we have something that's good enough to go, fuck, I want to watch that. There's going to be some good stuff there.
Yeah.
So,
it's pretty wild to watch a show called The Game Awards and not watch it for the awards. That's like attending the Grammys to look at shoes. Like, that's just not, that's not how that's supposed to go. But I watch the Game Awards to see what gets announced, not to see what gets awards.
Yeah. Like, the awards are like, cool, whatever. But, like, I don't know, like, the industry as a whole these days, and I've actually been thinking about this, and maybe I like to think a little deeply about things, is like, as a perfect example, I mentioned my Shield of Gondor earlier, right? So there was only 1,500 of those shields made. I have one of those 1,500s.
That's wild.
1,500 in the world.
That's fucking wild.
And I was looking at that certificate of authenticity, and I'm like, man, you know, there's 3D printers and there's all this other bullshit that, like, this really means so little compared to what it would have, say, 40, 50 years ago. And my point in that is that the Game Awards are kind of the same thing. Like, I feel personally, like, I've actually looked at a lot of websites, and when their Game of the Year awards and their other awards come out, like, I feel like they've become so watered
Pointless.
down. They're like, pointless, that they have to have an award for everything.
Yeah.
Oh, this was the most inclusive game ever. This was the most pretty pixel art game ever. Like, they have to have a fucking category for all the things, and that just makes it so, like you said, pointless. And so, like you said, we're watching the Game Awards, not for the awards. We're watching it for the announcements.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm still gonna watch it regardless, and I just think Baldur's Gate's gonna sweep, because that's the best goddamn CRPG I've ever played in my fucking life. But
man, if the game doesn't sweep, I'll be upset.
I'll be disappointed, but I wouldn't be surprised if Resident Evil or like Alan Wake comes up with one or two. I wouldn't be surprised. But I think overall game of the year is going to go to Baldur's Gate.
I mean, overall game is 100% going to go there. But like I said, if it doesn't, I'd be upset, even though my personal GOTY is Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Like, it's a phenomenal fucking game. It's my favorite Final Fantasy ever now at this point. And that says a lot, because it's been Final Fantasy 6 forever. But anyways, I mean, I guess I have a different term of sweep for you than you do.
Yeah.
I expect it not to win every category that it's nominated for. Like, if Final Fantasy 16 doesn't win the music and audio category, then I think there's a mistake. But I mean, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's going to be a good show. I don't think Jeff Keighley, he's so prominent in the industry now that he has a lot of sway over what's shown.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be some good stuff there. 100%.
I fucking hope so. I'm still fingers crossed for an actual trailer for Dreadwolf, man. It's been 10 years. 10 years. 10 years,
Did they really
Miles.
announce it 10 years ago?
No, like the Inquisition came out 10 years ago. 10 years ago. 10 fucking years. A goddamn decade.
I mean, hell, Dreadwolf probably was announced, in 2018 or something like that?
It was announced a good long time ago, and I called the name Dreadwolf. I think in my original article about what to expect next, when I wrote that, which was like 2016, 17.
I think a good article, too.
Dude, I miss it.
On that.
I think I still have the actual rough draft, but that's besides the point. I think when I wrote that, it was like 2016, 2017. I think I called it Dragon Age 4 Rise of the Dreadwolf. So they just shortened what I would have called it. Yeah. But I'm still proud of myself for calling that one. Anyways, this episode's run a little bit long. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We're going to go over to our Patreon side now, where we're going to talk about the clusterfuck that is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. In addition to that, as I said, if you're interested in Assassin's Creed, from my point of view, having all the game audio and stuff like that, I'll be uploading those captures to the Patreon at patreon.com/CoinDropPod. You can catch all of our extra content there, as well as what we're about to talk about right now. Tim, before we head on over there, any final thoughts, final words?
Yes, so as we mentioned in our last episode, I'm going to mention it again. Our Discord link works.
It does.
Join the Discord. Join the Discord. Join the conversation. Give us pointers. Give us criticisms. Doesn't matter. I've got free games. Now I know why no one's been claiming them. Come get them. And just be part of the community, man. We love the industry, and we just want to spread that love of it. Who cares if all the bullshit's happening? Just come enjoy it with us, man.
Yep.
That's all we care.
Hell yeah.
Care about.
All right, that's a good high note to go out on, unlike last week, which was everything sucks and AI art will rule us all. So remember that when you go to sleep tonight, kids, and tell your mom I said hi.